Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Q&A edition of Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1126. I am your host and narrator, Greg Audino, and it is the weekend, finally, friends. That means it is time to relax, time to unwind, maybe work on those Halloween costumes. I know there's a lot you could be doing, so I'm really glad that you've stopped in with me today. And today we will be looking at a question sent in from one of your fellow listeners, a young listener, actually. Has reached out looking for some tips on transitioning into adulthood and that dreaded real world that I'm sure most of us remember hearing about as our teenage years came to a close. Let's see if we can help her enter the next chapter feeling a little more prepared and a little more confident as we optimize your life. One thing I think I struggle with is figuring out how the world works and how to best interact with it. I'm 18 and am just now starting to realize that adulting is harder than I thought it would be. My progress so far has been great, as I've been listening to your podcast, as well as Optimal Health Daily and Optimal Finance Daily, but some more direction would be extraordinarily helpful. A nice, mindful question. Thank you so much for sending this in. Yes, I could imagine your progress so far has been great if you're listening to all the shows. We definitely address a wide array of important topics across the network here, so it's a good place to develop a balanced approach to life and get some information about a lot of big recurring themes. And I really try to say that without bias. Now, I can guarantee you that a lot of the adults listening right now had a little chuckle to themselves when they heard me read your question, especially when you mentioned being 18. And this is not because it's a foolish question. Not at all. It is a great question. We had a laugh because we're sitting here much older than you and still wondering the same thing. We still have the same question. It is people and their thoughts and feelings that make the world go round. And the wisest people out there know that figuring out how the world works and how one relates to it is a lifelong journey. To know this at 18 is near impossible with such limited experience, and likely being brought up in a school system that emphasizes clear-cut right and wrong answers to everything. And when we're on the brink of adulthood, we want to be ahead of the curve. We want to be prepared to fit in, to be confident and be respected. Not only is adulthood an intimidating change that we hear about nonstop, but we're also just so excited to be independent and make our marks on the world that the idea of being behind on that sounds sucky. So we try our best guesses on for size. We think this place, this career, this person, this path is right for us. We're usually wrong. We get broken. We come back and try again with our newest best guess based on that experience. It's trial and error. And after a few go-arounds, the healthiest adults keep going until things feel right. They keep learning and keep making necessary alterations to their lives, willing to be hurt again if need be. They keep doing this until the day they die, coming to know it as the journey of life. On the other hand, those who refuse to get back into the arena, those who will not challenge their behaviors, thoughts, and lifestyles, will inevitably be more limited. I can't tell you the answers to adulthood or give you a firm answer about how the world works, because I don't have that information and never will. The world works different for everybody. I can say that. And I can give you a playbook for wading through this uncertainty. And to me, the play is to keep questioning. Questioning can be done at every turn. Question common pieces of advice, like following your dreams is one that I really like to question. What might the downsides be? Is your dream a healthy one, or is it rooted from a place of insecurity about something? Does your dream fit with all the other priorities of your life? Question yourself. You can learn a lot about other people and therefore the world by learning about you. So think about all of your drives, your motivations, all the times you were an exception to the rule. You know, like when you cut someone off in traffic accidentally and weren't actually a maniac on the road, but were instead just like sneezing at the wrong time. Then multiply that by 7.5 billion people. All people and all the things they create are in many ways not what they appear to be, but will never make space for that knowledge, that understanding, that acknowledgement if we don't question. You'll come to find that there's a never-ending web of complexity, and that while you can usually rely on patterns, you can't expect them to come through every time. The journey continues, though. There are things to learn at every corner about everything. The norms in this country aren't the norms in that country. The world works differently. The norms in this house aren't the norms in that house. That world works differently. And I'm sorry if this comes off as pessimistic in any way. It is truly not supposed to at all. What I am trying to say is that at the end of the day, we are still all bonded, but we're bonded by the unanswered questions. Wanting answers to know how the world works is really just an effort to fit in, isn't it? But instead, we fit in by never quite knowing and all being in on that together. We instead pursue life together with our best efforts. So the bond is there, it just works differently than we often think it does. The people that you look up to and you see as intelligent, they don't have all the answers. They're likely just better at managing the answers that they don't have, or they at least manage them in a way that appeals to you. Just from your question, I can tell that you, right now, have some amazing tools that you should never lose. That is your willingness to learn and your willingness to ask for help. These two traits will serve you wonderfully, as long as you're not in such a rush to find out all the answers that you stop believing in the value of these traits. And if that rush to get all the answers is something that you can't shake, then my advice would be to pivot your questioning towards questions of the self, questions about why you feel it's so essential for you to have those answers, where that feeling comes from, what would really happen if you didn't get those answers, who you think realistically has those answers, how much you've already learned from mistakes in your life, and why you now feel as though continuing to make mistakes and learn from them would somehow be a bad or unordinary thing. And thanks a lot to the listener who sent this question in. I really hope this helped. It probably just left you with more questions and maybe wasn't what you were expecting. But hey, welcome to life. For anyone else out there who has a question they'd like to be answered on the show, you're always encouraged to send them in. Submit your questions to me by email at advice@oldpodcast.com. I definitely look at and reply to all of them, so don't be shy. I would love to hear from you. But that'll do it for today, folks. Have a marvelous rest of your Saturday, and I will see you back here for 11:27 tomorrow in the Sunday show. That's where your optimal life awaits.